It's 12:20 and my nerves can't take this anymore, so we're gonna get going. Kayla, you're supposed to be in the front row. I know, I did, I know, I totally called you out. Can you come to the front? Thank you, just Elliot. All right, now we can really get going. Okay, thank you for coming today. My name is Jamie Kotewa. I'm the art instructor here at Spoon, and this is my presentation called Let's Get Hammered. Thank you for showing up. All right, so when I was deciding what to go with this, what route to go with this topic, I really kept coming around to the notion of change, and every time I tried to go a different route, I'd kick that can and it would come right back and smack me, and so I kept thinking about change and all different aspects of it. What is change? How do we affect change or create change or influence it? How do we respond to change? Sometimes the change is happening to us and we need to respond to it. Change can happen at different speeds, right? It can be powerfully subtle, and it can also be forcefully jarring. So for the purposes of today, the hammer is going to represent how we influence change. We can use a hammer in expected and unexpected ways. They can have both positive and negative effects, right? We can direct that hammer to make little tiny taps and little cracks and maybe peel away at things that need something that needs remodeling. On the flip side, we might use a lot of force with that hammer to smash something, to smash an idea, to break a bias, to really put forth an impactful concept. Or maybe we're doing something with hope, right? And we are using that hammer almost like a golf club, and you're trying to send hope out past the sand trap. You want to get way out there, right? Sometimes you might find that you yourself are on the receiving end of that hammer. So then it may be nudging you to make an alteration to your schedule or to your priorities. That hammer might also apply a strong enough blow to completely change the direction that you were headed. So how do you respond to that hammer? How do you respond to that change? A concept I want to start with is malleability. So malleability is how we talk about the ability of metal to change when it is actually hammered. Like you actually literally hammer metal in order to change it, right? And what's happening there is that the layers of atoms within a softer metal are able to slide over one another and adjust with every blow of the hammer. So I want to start with that concept, that ability to make adjustments. Gold is one of the softest metals, and that is why we see it used quite frequently in very intricate designs for jewelry. It's not overly heavy. It can be hammered very, very thin, and you can really make intricate things there because of its malleability, right? So because of its ability to adjust and change when that hammer is hitting it, there's a beautiful outcome that's able to happen there. So if we apply that to us individually, we might be the ones that need to make adjustments. Or maybe that issue at hand, the problem to solve, is the one that is malleable. We might be thinking that there's nothing we can do about it, that it is as hard as steel and not able to be affected in any way by us. But perhaps what we need to do is change the way we look at it. So we always need to consider perspective. I felt like I needed to follow in the footsteps of all those brave souls who've done this before me, and so here's a definition slide. Okay, so if you look up in Merriam-Webster, this is what you're going to find, minus the little cartoon, on the definition of perspective. So what viewpoint are we approaching this issue with? How does it compare to where others are coming from? And I love the illustration there. One guy's seeing the boat coming from his island, and he's like, "Yeah, a boat!" And then there's this other guy in a boat, presumably been floating in the ocean forever. And he's like, "Yeah, land!" And they're both can't wait for the other one to get there, right? So that perspective, that point of view, POV, as you youngsters call it, is important. It's important to consider. I did have to have my 9th grader fill me in on POV. I was like, what is this? Like, what is this new acronym that's showing up everywhere? He's like, well, point of view. Okay, all right, thanks. Okay, so from his point of view, I was old and stuck in the mud. So is it possible that whatever you are facing, whatever world issue you are facing, so whether the issue is global or personal and individual, have we been looking at it with our feet stuck in the cement, unable to consider other possibilities, right? What are the different perspectives available to us? And artists have this fantastic ability to sometimes confront us with these stuck points of view. And one artist that I want to bring up today and introduce you to is Pedro Reyes. He's an artist that works out of Mexico City, and he does a lot of like group initiated type artworks, right? So they're involving people. He doesn't just make a sculpture and then have it out for you to all admire. There's definitely a participation element in everything that he does. So to give you an idea of what he does or what he has done, let's start with grasshopper burgers. So thinking about ways to feed large amounts of people. He worked with some entomologists, and I think that's the right term for the people that really like insects. And they tested out some recipes for grasshopper burgers. I know, I see what's going on with your face, okay? So it's all right. Okay, so not only did he do that, but then he built a stand, kind of like a hot dog stand, right? A little cart, but it's a grasshopper. And then as he bicycles, the things make sound, and so you can like hear him coming down the road just like an ice cream truck, except he's got grasshopper burgers. And then he would give them out, right? Give it a try. So you have to, there's some interaction there. And he would collect decommissioned guns from the government in Mexico City, and they would work together as groups. He would get young high school students to come on board, and they would take them apart, use all the parts, recreate them into musical instruments. And so now he exhibits these groups of musical instruments that create music when they're all together, and they're computer operated, and it's totally this technological musical show out of what used to be guns. So something that used to be used for very different purposes now recreated and has them thinking about what are new possibilities, right? And then the third one is the pun, the People's United Nations. So with this one, if you know what the United Nations are, every country gets represented, right? You have a representative, and they all come together and they work together on big important things. Okay, that's what you need to know. The People's United Nations, small p, they have, he gets people to come. It's a role play exercise, and so you represent where you're